So for picture algebra, it means we're going to draw a picture. It's not so much a picture as, well, you'll see. You and 3 friends are selling cookie dough to raise money for the robotics club. You sell twice as many buckets as Jenny. Fred sells 7 buckets more than Jenny. Lisa sells 3 more than you. 3 more buckets than you. If your group of friends sells 100 buckets altogether, how many buckets of cookie dough did each person sell? Well, first of all, we are going to draw a picture to represent the situation. We're going to label the unknown parts with variables and the known parts with their values. So the first thing we need to do is recognize that it talks about that you sell twice as many buckets as Jenny. Since it never tells us anything about Jenny, Jenny is kind of home base or what we're comparing everyone to. So however many buckets she sold is our unknown. So when we draw a picture, basically we're going to draw a rectangle representing the number of buckets of cookie dough that Jenny sold. So we could either use C for cookie dough, or I'm going to use B for buckets of cookie dough. But you sell twice as many buckets as Jenny. So if she sold B buckets, some unknown number of buckets, you sold twice that. So draw 2 rectangles labeled B. Now Fred sells 7 buckets more than Jenny. So he's going to have one of the long rectangles labeled B. But then usually for numbers we just draw a smaller rectangle, even kind of a square, with the actual number in it. And then Lisa sells 3 more than you. So now we're comparing her to you. So 2 rectangles labeled B, because that's what you sold, and then a little rectangle with a 3 in it. Now, there's one last part that sometimes we forget to put, and that is that you sell 100 buckets altogether. So this is all we do for that. We just make this little inclusive symbol, it's called set bracket actually, and say 100 buckets. Don't have room for my S. There we go. So that's our drawing. Now it also wants us, so part B is going to be to determine how many buckets in all. So I'm going to start with what I do know. I know the 7 and the 3, and if I take away the 7 and the 3, I'm basically taking off 10 from that, so that's 90. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal amounts. Well, basically I'm dividing 90 by the 60, and that gives me 15. So I know that Jenny sold 15 buckets of cookie dough. You sold twice that amount, so 2 times 15 is 30 buckets. Then Fred, 7 more than Jenny. So that's just 15 plus 7. And that equals 22 buckets. And then Lisa, she was 3 more than you. And since you were 30, it's 30 plus 3. Now if you really want to write it out and show all your work, which is a good thing, because then you'll know where everything comes from, then you could write out the 2 times 15 plus 3, which equals the 30 plus 3, which equals 33 buckets. Now the safest thing is to add them all up and make sure that they add up to 100. So the 15 and the 30 gives me 45, plus 22 is 67, plus the 33 is 100 buckets. So that's correct. Part C says write an expression for the number of laps each person swam. So just writing an expression is where really I kind of already wrote it here and here, and here, if I will go back and replace all of these, even including this one, with those letters. So Jenny, the expression would simply be B. And then you would simply be 2B. And Fred, and really we go back to the picture for this, would be B plus 7. If you'll remember, these really do match up to those boxes. It's just that we've taken away the rectangles. And then Lisa is the 2B plus 3, and that really matches this. But again, if I go clear back up here, it's just taking the boxes away from this part and maybe putting a little plus in between there. Finally, well, not finally, part D wants us now to write an equation. Well, the equation is now basically taking this part and then saying that this equals 100. So B plus 2B plus B plus 7 plus 2B plus 3 equals 100. And we usually don't even leave it like that, although that's a good starting point. What we usually do is we combine like terms. So if you'll remember, combining like terms is where we say, okay, the B and the 2B make 3B, plus another B is 4B, plus another 2B is 6B. And then the plus 7 and the plus 3 combine to give me plus 10 equals 100. And this is really the equation we like. It's the simplified form of the expressions added all together. And that is how we use picture algebra to help us write expressions and how to solve it and how to write an equation. Now, we know how to do two-step equations, so let's even go ahead and check our math or our equation by starting by subtracting 10 from both sides. And look at that, we have 6B equals 90. Now that's no surprise because we got 90 before, right? And now divide both sides by 6, and 90 divided by 6 is 15. So the number of buckets is 15, and that of course is Jenny, and then we go back and double that to get you, add 7 to get Fred, and then add 3 to your amount, or double it and add 3 to get Lisa.